Hi, everyone. This is Bill Holton from Field Trial Central, and this is Field Trial Central Live, episode number 11. Tonight, we're joined by Jamie Daniels, all-age professional trainer and handler out of Georgia. Jamie, glad to have you join us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, just a little bit of housekeeping tonight. As everybody knows, we're going to be streaming this live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and then it'll be stored there for all time. So make sure to share this with all of your bird dog friends and anybody who might be interested in field trials or bird dogs or hunting dogs of any type. I think everybody's going to find a lot of interest in this conversation tonight.
I don't know about
that. I would think so. Also, one thing you're sure welcome to do is make any comments. If we get any great questions or comments, we will flash them up on the screen, and we'll have get some good interaction here with the community. This is sometimes is a lot of the fun that's happening. So, Jamie, what's going on in Georgia these days? Are you starting to get packed up and ready for coming north, getting everything lined up?
We just yard working right now. Trying to get dogs to go north. Kind of getting all that coordinated, kind of starting to get everything lined up that way. Nothing real pressing, just a lot of prep work with the young dogs right now. Yard work, repetition, just boring.
Yes.
And mowing grass, mowing a lot of grass.
Yeah. It's that time of the year when you're, trying to get those puppies and coming derbies and just spending a lot of time in the yard and getting those together. And
that's the only true way you can take advantage of going north if you've done your homework. Done your homework, there's none going to the test. So.
Yep. So just so I don't forget, sometimes I forget this little step. If people want to get a hold of you and talk to you about sending a dog north, or do you still have room? Are you still taking some dogs?
I do a few more spots. I could probably take another derby or two and some puppies. As far as older dogs, I'm full. But maybe one or two more derbies, and then I can take another 6-8 puppies, and I'll be done.
And what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can Facebook message me. Go to Daniels Kennels Facebook page. All my info's there. Or Jamie Daniels on the Facebook page. Everything's there. You only have one number, so
it's going to get you.
We'll call the wrong number.
Yep. Well, that's perfect. Yeah. I it's one of those things that we get going along, and I don't always get that step out. So I thought, hey, let's throw that out there so I don't do it early. I don't forget it. And tell us a little bit. I mean, we visited camp a couple of years ago. Tell us just a little bit about your camp.
We're outside of Mobridge, just west of the river, on Red Top Ranch. It was a camp started by Fred DeLeo, who I cut my teeth with. Fred passed November 13th, 2007. It'll be 13 years, November 13th. I've been there. I've added to it. I've added a lot of grounds to it. Added Judd Carlton, another pro trainer and longtime friend. It's a great camp. Got a lot of wild birds, a lot of sharp-tails, some pheasant, not a ton, because we're all native prairie, not a lot of crop, and Hungarian partridge. We're right there on the river, so we also get into some of the true prairie chickens. So it's worked out good. We developed a lot of nice young dogs there. Not a lot of nice dogs that went on and done pretty good.
Yeah. It's great country. It's obviously a lot of space there. It's some of the best bird country, I would think, in the Midwest or in the country, or maybe in the world. It's really a neat place. Great place to make a dog.
Yeah, a little rough in spots, but that's why there's still birds there.
Yep, that's exactly right. Let's back up a little bit. Give me and the listeners a little bit of an origin story. How'd you get started with bird dogs and get started? I know, before you ever got to, hooked up with Freddie. What brought you into this?
Well, I grew up in Coolidge, Georgia, right outside of Thomasville, which is right there, plantation belt, everything south. Red Hills. I never worked on a plantation. My granddaddy had some dogs, but it wasn't, and it wasn't like I brought up in a ton of bird hunting. We had some quail, but they were yard type dogs. They were pointers, but they lived in the yard. And really, how I got my first deal on a plantation is I got tired of delivering furniture and working at a dairy, so I pretty much I said I'll do something else. And the plant, I've been around it. A lot of my friends, parents worked on plantations, dads worked on plantations, so I'd been on plantations, and there was always that. Boy, if you can ever get a dog training job or a manager's job or a scout job on plantation, you're set. And but I did. I went to work at Riverbend Plantation, South Equipment, just straight east of Dixie. I worked there a couple of years, and I went to Pinion Point and worked for Lee Phillips for a little bit. Left there and went to Longleaf Plantation with a fellow named Terry Butler, and then went with Fred. And just kind of cut my teeth doing that. Working gun dogs, and actually the reason I got started in field trials, I was at Longleaf, and I'd never, I've been to the Georgia, Florida, the handlers trial, they call it. It's a shooting dog stake, and then there's a gun dog. And boy, I thought that was something. I mean, that was just like, that was, country doesn't come to town. I was at the field trial.
Yep.
And then I never saw my American field till I went to Longleaf Plantation. And Terry Butler had American field, and I saw the American field, and I saw open shooting dog and open all age dog, and I asked him the difference. And he said, all the shooting dogs are where it's at. The all age dogs just run off. I said, if they all run off, how they pick a winner? Well, it just so happened that we got done with hunting season, and I had some time off to come in, and I saw Southeastern Open All Age Championship. I said, well, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go. And rode a horse on consignment from Kate Morton, which was Bill Wayne's wife at the time. And that's where I met Fred. And right after that field trial, I left Longleaf, and I was on the road with Fred. I saw what I needed to see.
Yeah, it's when you see when you see it in action, for a lot of us, it hits hard, doesn't it?
If you like competition, it's the deal. I mean, I played sports growing up. I went to college playing sports. I've been in competition my whole life. Be in competition the day I die with something. I don't know what. Might be trying to beat the Grim Reaper, but I'll be in competition doing something. And the all age dogs just suit me better. I'm a little more free spirit about, I like all of them. I like a good dog, period. But boy, I like a running dog.
Yeah. Well, you picked the right game then, and it's.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm doing it. So we're gonna make the best of it.
Good. Well, one kind of a theme that's gone back and forth on these broadcasts is how important a really good mentor is in this sport. How it's really big. Help us not only get started, but really kind of get us through those tough points when we're early and we get a lot of things we can bounce off. We learn a lot, And there's no doubt, you and I have had this conversation before, and you've already mentioned it a couple times today, but give us some history with you and Fred and how important he was in your life.
Well, Fred and I fought like cats and dogs. But I loved it, and he knew it, and he pushed me. Fred wasn't the best of teachers. He was old school. You didn't ask a lot of questions. Typically you didn't want the explicative, and then the answer. But whenever finally broke through, and he said, "You know what? This kid's going to stick with me." Completely different Fred. Talk to him every day on the phone. If I wasn't there, it was, we were best friends, mentor, the whole nine. I live with him. I mean, I live in the same house. And then he died. Really, probably Richie Robertson. If it hadn't been for him, I probably would have got out completely. I was in a bad spot. Fred was gone. I was at camp, the camp that he set up, and I helped him where we're at now. I was there by myself, and with a string of dogs, and I'm not. He was supposed to be there, but he wasn't. And Richie swooped in. I had to go to Kennebec and help him. He made me. He said, "You're going to get your up," and I was working dogs, but I wasn't doing all right. All the dogs were fine, but I wasn't in a good place. And Richie got me back going. Richie Robertson and Stan Houghton and Rob Butler, the two clients. They got me back going because I was going to quit. I was done. I didn't. I just wasn't. There was just a lot. I had a lot going on that year. And that was icing. I think Richie Robertson every day, for pulling me out of the spot I was in. So here we are.
That's awesome. Well, that's another thing we can thank Richie Robertson for. There's a lot of it.
Not a better man, in my opinion.
Yeah. We were. I was really happy when I talked to him, and he said he'd come on here. We had a great conversation when he was here. Now let's.
I want to
go ahead.
Tommy Davis helped me a lot.
Good. Yeah.
Really did. Yep. And Tommy Davis is still a very close friend of mine. I have utmost respect for Tommy Davis.
Yeah. Tommy's Tommy's great. Great to be around, and I'm sure you could learn a lot from Tommy too.
Well, and when Fred died, I was kind of by myself, and I'd say all those guys mentored me in a way. Freddie Rail, Ricky Fernie, Robin Gates. They taught me how to figure out how to win, because you get tired of getting your teeth kicked in. And if you're competitive, that gets old. But it was getting old. Oh Lord, they just beat the hell out of you. They weren't going to give you an inch. And could take dogs that, you knew you had better on the ground, but they could take dogs that weren't as good and just make you look like, you just stepped into the game. And I thank all those guys for teaching me how to win. I'm not one that learns easy. I've got to learn by the bumps in the road, and boy, they sure made that road. They made it rough, but we made it, So, and I thank every one of them.
Yeah. Well, as I've talked to these guys over the years, there's been, as far as, we start talking about, hey, with the future of the sport, right? The good young dog trainers coming up, and for quite a few years, you were thrown into that mix, right? You got their respect pretty early, and I'm sure it was a work ethic issue, and they probably saw how much you wanted to win, and knew that you were pretty good with a dog. So that, lends to, doing pretty well in time.
Well, I've never said I was the best handler. I've never said I'm the best trainer. I never will, but I will work. You know, and
Yeah.
that's all we can do. Yeah, we can
Yep.
just work as hard as we can work
It's
and let the cards fall where they fall, and hopefully breed some good
yep.
dogs. That's probably
Yeah.
helped me more than
Yeah.
anything, because I'm a better breeder than I am of the other two.
Well, that's one thing we want to talk about. Let's go. So obviously your kennel, you talk about the advertising shows, and the dogs kind of have the same look. It's the home of the Rebel bred pointers. Give us a little history on those Rebel.
It's Rebel Bred 2.0. It's a little different than the true Rebel dogs, and there's a whole Facebook page. And they're right. The true old school Rebel dogs are, they're kind of a thing of the past, and they should be. If we're doing everything right, they should be.
Yep.
No, we're Rebel 2.0.
Yep. Well, that's good. Yeah, we should be improving on what if we're not improving, if we're staying the same, that's we're not doing the right thing in our breeding program. So
no, you're not.
What are you looking for a dog when you're breeding them? So let's say the stud dogs start there, and then we'll move on to the dams after that. But what qualities are you looking for?
I want a good conformation dog, straight leg, good gait, light gaited, good tail, good running tail. Probably first and foremost, though, out of all that, the way I breed, if I had to rank them, it'd be brains, nose, and everything else.
Yeah.
I can't raise very many puppies. I don't have the budget nor the time. So I've got to have litters that I can market, even if they don't make dogs for me. So they got to point those birds, and they got to do it right. And they got to be pretty on them. They don't always have to run for me to make money off of them. But the ones that do, I've done good with. Rebel Air was not bred to be a performer. He was bred for me to be a producer. And I just got lucky, with that. And it's gotten better. It really has. It's gotten better. I've been able to select. The good thing about having a stud dog that people want to breed to, or several stud dogs that people want to breed to, is you get to see your studs against a variety of different lines of females.
Right.
And how they look, and through that, I've been able to narrow down certain stuff. And some of the, I think what we're doing right now, what I say Sean, Derek, and I have been doing a lot of testing.
Okay.
And I really do believe our best is just now hitting the ground. It's been really, really exciting to watch happen. We both put our egos to the side, and we took the best of the best, and we bred to the best of the best, and we look and we evaluate and we look, and then we compare notes. And bottom line is, you were just trying to make a better dog. It's not against, it's just like Keith Wright. Keith Wright's trying to make a better, heck of a breeder. Lester and the company, whatever the company.
Yep.
I thought the company was Joe Don and Ike and them, but the new company is making good dogs. But it's all I just sent a female to Keith out of my stuff because he wants to incorporate it into his stuff, which is, Keith Wright asked for a female. You get Keith Wright a female.
Yeah.
God, the man, look at what he's bred. Every field trial you go to, you got to be, pardon my language, you got to be the damn touches dog.
Right. And yeah, lots of them. There's a lot of them there, and a couple of them are going to be really good that day.
Oh my God. It's just when you think that, you think you dodge this bullet, one hits you from the side.
Yeah.
But
so
the whole line is just trying to make a better dog.
Yeah.
So I like the Rebel stuff. I'm just partial to it. But
yep. And if you so we talk about the brains and the nose, and you were looking the same thing on the female side, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I like a bigger female, but I want a bigger, straight-legged, leggy female, because I think those females, you have a better shot getting a bigger pup.
Yeah.
I think the females are, at least 70% of all of it. So you got to have a good female. I don't believe in just having, oh, this is just a brood female. Well, she didn't make it. She didn't, I never saw her point a bird. She's undershot. She's cowhawk. She's playfoot. What? Oh, I'll just make her a brood bitch by the way she's bred. She don't stay here.
Right.
It's the 1%. The 1% females, 1% males. And I'll be the first. I'm the worst. I'm the hardest. I'll call them. I hold on to every litter that I breed. I hold on, and I might get rid of the whole litter. But why waste your time?
Yeah. No, that's the important thing to have, is that discerning eye, and throw your ego aside and say, hey, just because I bred them doesn't mean they're going to be the best ones. We gotta make sure, make them prove it.
We all got egos in this case.
Oh, absolutely.
But
that's for sure.
But I think that across the board, the true breeders are trying to make a better dog. And if they're not true breeders.
Right.
Everything's going to run its course. I don't care. Rebel blood, white dogs, LHU. It's going to run its course. You're going to have to go out. You're going to have to put your ego aside and go out. You can't keep doing it. It just doesn't work. And we're fortunate to have the Keith Wrights, the Sean Derricks, Lester, the Rich Robinson still breeding some dogs. These guys breeding dogs that we talk to a lot, and we can compare, and we can look, and how can this help? How can, can this? I'm going to breed to Touches Gray Street, but I'm waiting on my I've got some females coming now that should line up good with him. They're out of blindsider, just doubling up on that white. They should line up good with him. I just don't have it now.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? I'm breeding some females now just so I can try some of the key stuff. And some of the dogs that Mark McLean has, which is, the Touches stuff. I just don't have anything that I can go to that right now. And it work on paper. And I know it's not, paper doesn't make anything, but believe it or not, the genetics are, they're genetic. You can't, you can't fake that. You can't beat it. You're not going to overcome it. You can only add to it, or you can only take away from it.
Right. Yeah. Well, we say that a lot, right? Oh, it's just on paper, but that's kind of where a lot of the planning starts, and you're still picking great individuals and hoping that, on paper, you can kind of get an idea what you might be going to come up with.
Well, as long as you're honest with yourself, I think that you're already one step ahead of the game.
Yeah.
As long as you're honest with yourself. Lord, if I'd have known Just Irresistible was going to throw what he threw, I'd have had him collected 1,000,000 times. But I'll tell you the other thing is, if you bred Irresistible, and then people know, if you bred Irresistible to a small female, you got small dogs. But now Blindsider, which is his son, well, I'm getting some big dogs out of him.
Oh, really?
Big, stout, pretty dogs. And bred some small females just to see if it held true with him. And it didn't. He's throwing bigger dogs than what his daddy did. So, you just, all those are notes. I got a notebook. Heck, Sean called me this morning. And sent me a couple of pedigrees. What do you think? I was like, well, and he already had his mind made up. He's just asking me.
Yeah.
But he was right. He was dead on. With what he thought would cross out well with, and it's a chess game. But
yep.
I probably enjoyed that and the puppies in development more than I enjoy anything else. Anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when you and I talked about this before, that you do pretty much hang on to all those puppies, don't you? You don't sell 7-8 week old puppies. You're looking at them.
No, I will. I have made some breedings just to sell, because I need the money. Be honest with you, this ain't, we're not exactly, we're not running a hedge fund here whenever we're doing these dogs. We got to offset some stuff. But I probably only sold outright 2 litters in the probably 10 years of breeding that I've been doing. Probably only 2 litters. I've just bred just to sell. Most of the time it is, I hold on to them. I look, and then I'll sell them as started. But no, I just hate I hate to let one slip through the cracks.
Right. Yeah. Well, you want to see
greedy.
what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just greedy.
Yeah. Well, and like you've already said, you enjoy working them puppies and watching them develop and come along, so that's not a, it's not like it's a chore, right? It's something you want to see the outcome of, and you enjoy doing that.
It is. And like I said, there are some disappointments. I've made several crosses that I thought would work. You couldn't have melded all the dogs together and filled up a good dog mold. I mean, it just did not work. And you just don't go back. Just don't look back and keep going. Now you can pay attention to if it worked for somebody else, which I have. And I've got a log of that. I know what worked with that. So if I do get something, I know I've got an outlet over here that I can go to, and I can maybe put back in later on. I know there is some stuff that does not work with mine, period. But now I've set myself up with the male dogs or the stud dogs that I have, that I just about can go to anything and should be able to produce you a pretty good pup. No matter what you bring me, I can line it. If you bring me the pedigree, I can line it up where your odds go up a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've seen
that was on purpose. This is a business, first and foremost. There's a business.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's good. It's good to think that way. If you don't treat it like a business, then you know what? You don't stick around, right? And we need guys like you in the sport. So we want you to do it that way. We do have one comment. I suppose we better put this up here, or we'll lose him. He'll disappear.
Whiskey. You know what it is, Mark. You didn't have to ask.
You didn't even ask.
It's that time of evening. He's drinking a Michelob Ultra, so he can't say nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So tell me a little bit about the string that you got right now. I mean, obviously we've got some great owners.
Unbelievable. I'd like to thank all of them, and I'll name every one of them real quick if you got time.
Yep, I do.
My longest owner, Jack and Tracy Haynes. They've been with me the longest. Great couple out of Colorado. Own some great dogs, bred. They're Just Wait Best, Produce Me Irresistible, Hitman, Just Watch, Unforgettable, Just Say When. I think that's all of them. Just a minute. No, wait a minute. Anyways, there's a bunch. Jim Hamilton, Rebel Air's owner, Rebel Squires co-owner. The Morning Brace, which is Jim Hamilton and friends. It's Phil Norris, David Rain, Bill Hamilton, Jim Hamilton. They own Bull Market, Bud. And you got Nick Barone. He owns Miller's Blindsider, Miller's Heat Advisory. He recently sold Rebel Patch, Dominator's Rebel Patch, to Audie Brown out of South Carolina. He owns Dominator's Rebel Patch now. Jack and Sarah Schwartz, Dominator's Rebel. I got all of them. The George Cindy Watkins, Ben Stringer, Dogwood Bill. Really, really good young dog coming on. Thank you to all of them. Without y'all and my family backing me, none of this is possible. I have a lot of young dogs. I've got one old dog, and that's Rebel Air. Blindsiders 3 before in June. Rebel Patch, Rebel Squire, they're 3. Dogwood Bill's 3, and then everything else was this year's derbies. So Dennis Buford, Dennis, Aaron's Battle Cry, and Aaron's Blue Bayou. They're young. They're 3. So
Well, that's good. Yeah, it's good to get their names out there. They're obviously very important
Yeah,
part of
they
this
put up with
sport.
me. I have absolutely no idea why, but I'm thankful that they do. And some of them have done it for many years, and I have not figured that out yet. But I'm glad they do.
Yeah, I think we all know why. But
Right.
so, what's your schedule look like? You come up here to the prairie middle of
Typically, I
July?
come up in July.
Yeah.
Um, typically I come up in July. This year, we're not going to have the field trials down in South Dakota because of COVID, and we're on the reservation, and we just out of respect for them, we're just going to skip a year. The main reason we go up is for training, not to trial, or I do. So we don't want to push that envelope right now. Everything's pushy enough. Everything's edgy enough as it is. So everybody thought that it'd be their best decision just to let it go this year. But now this year I'm going up mid-August because there's no reason for me to go up early because I don't have to get ready for the trials. I'm just going to go up and I'm going to hammer it hard and come home. And weather will be better and birds will be better. I mean, just the spear grass will be gone. It's just that time of the year. I mean, we never, even when we get there in July, it's never really good to after the first week of August. I mean, we're just kind of getting everything set up and roading and we're working. But I mean, it gets really good in July. Oh, Rebel Calls. He's not here. He just went home. My father-in-law, David Williams and Angie Williams, turned out really super young dog last year. Be a first-year dog next year. I think he does it now. Yeah. But but that's the goal. I'm going to go up there mid-August this year. I'll come back whenever I get my work done. I don't have a set time. Probably won't take me long. I got a good crop of young dogs this year, and they're doing really good. So
good. And once you get back, you pretty well trial in the Southeast. You run just about exclusively on wild birds. Pardon me?
I run everything down here. I go up to Kentucky. I go up into Tennessee. I don't. I'm probably going to cut some traveling out from here on out. I've got a 4-month-old. Want to stay at home more. Definitely going to cut back some, but going to go to the majors. Definitely going to go to the majors. All the wild birds, my majors. Everybody's got their majors, but Masters, Southeastern Florida, Continental. I'll be there. I'll be Lee County Black Belt. What is it? Muckley there, Bluegrass, Sunshine. I'll be at the ones down here for sure. Don't know about the Tennessee stuff. I'll go to Carroll County because that's my father-in-law's trial, and those people are just so great that put on the trial. My father-in-law's grounds, but the people that put on a trial are just unbelievable. It's a great trial every year. But other than that, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of up in there. This COVID deal is I've been daddy daycare and
sure.
And I'll be honest with you, I've enjoyed it. And if my wife just makes more money, I can do that permanently.
Yeah. Well, she works hard at it.
She does.
You tell us the story with Allison. Obviously, she comes from probably comes from more of a field trial family than you did.
Oh my God, yes. I didn't come from a field trial family. I come from a tobacco growing sawmill family. I met her up on the prairie, and she's after me for years, and I finally married her. I mean, that's the story. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean,
she's going to come on next week with
keep her away and keep her away, and you couldn't. She's just very, very persistent. She's hard-headed, like her father.
Yeah, yeah. Next week,
everybody knows I'm lying.
Tune in next week when we have Angie Williams on. I mean, Allison Williams on, and she gives us the real story.
Yeah, well, we did. We met on the prairie.
Yeah.
And she's right here. You want to talk to her? You want to bring her in?
I always like talking to her. Yep.
She said no. She said, no way.
She ate the best meal I had in South Dakota 2 years ago.
The best meal I had too. You get tired of eating spaghetti and ramen at our camp.
Yep.
No, we met up there. I knew David before. David had a winter camp south of me when I run that plantation camp. When I run the plantation for a while, and I knew David from the Masters in the Southeastern, and I met Allison up on the prairie. I don't know, a year or so later, and she was still in college, and I was still. I'm gonna be honest with you, I was still wild as hell. I was with Fred, and every time I got a chance, I was gone. So it worked out best that we probably didn't, kick it off right then. Later on, we got back together, and as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep, two great young kids, and
I married way over my head. She just doesn't know it. She had a bad lapse in judgment.
Yeah,
and it's her fault. She said yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing to do with me.
Yeah, well, that's good. Tell us, give us a little bit of field trial history. So you've seen a lot of dogs, obviously. Give me a couple of performances that you've run your own dogs, right, that have been great and that really stand out. That just one of those that you remember every step they took, and it just burns in your memory for a long time.
Some of my best dog memories, the dog didn't even place.
That happens.
I ran a dog for Dr. Aubrey Morgan and Burble, Arcanum Sir Winston at the Southwestern one year. It was 103 degrees. And I don't know how in the hell we kept him. But he was always out front, and it was unbelievable. I just didn't know. I didn't know a dog. It was at the time. When I got done, I was just shot. We didn't point a bird. Couldn't get a bird pointed. It was just so hot. Just Irresistible. Had several. When he won the Southeastern as a derby, just smooth. Silk. I knew I'd won it. And I can't say that very much. Mark McLean, Luke, Lester, Andy, Randy, they can all say that a lot more than I can, but I knew I'd won that. Rebel Air at the Florida, probably probably the best job I've ever done, period. Rebel Air when he won the Florida. I've been really irresistible at the Masters. I was braced with Chinquapin and Reward, and they were both young dogs, and it was probably the best brace of dogs I've ever seen and been a part of. I got runner up. Mark won it that year, but Slade and I bought him, and we battled it out, and it was a heck of a brace. I watched White Knight win the Masters, and I thought that you couldn't have beat him in a month of Sundays. Chinquapin Reward win the Florida. It was over when he picked up. Touches Red Rider Southeastern this year.
Oh,
yeah. Touches Gray Street Derby Invitational last year. Best job I ever seen Ike Todd do with a dog. Period. And I've seen and Ike Todd had done a bunch of good jobs.
Yeah.
But whenever he picked up at the Invitational, he came by me, and you can ask. Well, Lester was right there. I just tipped my hat. I said, "Have a day." I looked at Lester. I said, "Well, at least runner up. They might pay for a runner up, if they call one. If they got to have one." And they didn't. They didn't get it.
Oh.
Of course, Funseeker's Rebel when he won the Masters. That was the first time I ever scouted. So that was his first championship, and that was the first time I ever got to scout. So that was pretty memorable.
Yeah.
Now I've got a memory that I can remember them. I can go on and tell you about every step, every one of them's made. Been very, very fortunate to be a part of a lot of good jobs, and I love to watch it as much as I love to run it. I'll be the first to tell you. You hate it. You're like, God Almighty. They went that check, especially if you'd got something done. But when they get it done, you tip your hat and you go on. You got beat, you know. And if you're not man enough to say that, you don't need to be doing this because you're gonna get beat more than you win.
Oh, well, when there's that many losers at every field trial, you know, you got to be one of them a lot of times, right?
Lord, yeah. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
None of us got into this game because we were going to win every week. You know, maybe we thought we did because we won the first time, and then you always had to go back. But you've got to enjoy great.
Well, until I started winning a little bit, boy, I thought I won. I thought I placed. You know, I was like, you know what, I should have had third. Well, you know, if you're begging for third. You're grabbing at straws, and I'm not trying to be mean. If you get third, you be glad that you got a piece of it. You know, be glad. You know, but boy, I just go, golly, you know, they could have used me for third. Why in the hell would they use me for third? They don't know me. They'll use Robin or Ricky or, you know, the tie goes to the runner, and I wasn't running too fast back then.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. So tell me a little bit. You know, we've talked about this quite often. You know, this sport's not growing as fast as we'd like it to, and maybe it's even shrinking a little bit. What kind of stuff do we need to do to help the sport grow? You know, how do we get the word out there? We've got everything everybody wants, right? We've got dogs, we got horses, we got outdoors, we got beautiful country, we got birds, we're shooting guns, we're doing all the good stuff. How do we spread that word?
I think that the youth trials right now are unbelievable. I mean, just a great deal. Unbelievably great deal. To get kids, they're not going to do it going to college. They're not going to do it then, but they might go to a field trial. And they might graduate and make enough money to have a dog with a pro, because they're without owners and without amateur field trials. There's no us.
Yeah.
We need the amateur trials to come back the weekend. I think I think there's too many open stakes. I think there's too many shooting dog trials. I think there's too many all age trials. Everybody can stay in their own backyard. Nobody has to drive. And only when you go to Ames can you showcase the top dogs in the country. I think if you cut down some of the field trials that there are, you make everybody have to go. You'll have more people show up because they can go to one spot and they can see everything they've read about. They can see the tried and trues, the Mega Mikes, the White Knights, the Malcolm Stories, the Rebel Airs, the Blindsiders, the Valiants, the Sunny Hill Joes, Speed Dial. They can see all that, you know.
Yeah.
At one trial. People will drive to go see that. But if one stays here, one stays here, one stays here, one stays here, you know, I think there's too many trials. I think there's too many qualifiers. I think it's too much, you know, entries are down because this is a hard sport. Nobody really wants to work this hard. And that probably, out of all of it, that's probably the biggest thing. Nobody wants to work this hard. Nobody wants to put the time in. Nobody wants to get their teeth kicked in by people who've got their teeth kicked in 20 years before you. I think we live in a society now where people think that it should just be handed to them, and you know, you're not going to get that in this sport. And it makes it tough for a young guy. They want to be up there pointing the dog out, and they want to be in that picture, but they don't want to drive all night to turn loose the next morning with crippled horses and sick dogs, and you're on 2 hours of sleep. Right.
Well, and the guys that you build to that point, right? You know, instead of hey, let's just come in and we're gonna be that guy. That's why we need more weekend trials, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think
you can learn that stuff.
And I think that I think pros should go judge more. It's hard for us.
Yeah.
With all the trials going on, but if we can go to a trial with bigger entries, and I think that it helps for us to go. We have to do our part as pros for the sport. I'm talking to you right now for the sport, not for me. I'm
Right.
gonna do me. I'm gonna do me no different than I did before we talked.
Yep.
You know, I don't want this thing to die. I want my daughter to do it. I want my son to do it. You
Yep.
know, I do. I mean, and the kids. I think the kids in the weekend trials where that. You know, drop the entry fees down, give them a ribbon, do whatever. Just make it where it's fun. Make it where people want to be there. You know, do a little better self-policing. You know, where everybody's having fun. You know, and nobody's showing their butt and throwing temper tantrums, and which I hate to say it's probably good for kids to see anyway. So then how not to act.
Yeah.
You know, but hey, Al, I'm looking at a comment right there. I just seen Renee Peak. They do an unbelievable job in Alabama. They started it. Chris Mathen, Jason Loper, Cleve McFay, bringing it over here to Georgia, putting together a bunch of stuff. Piper and Larry do it. Man, that's the best thing in the world. Get them kids out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to the one that Piper and Larry put on up in, I don't know if they put it on, but they were part of it in Dancyville. Buddy Smith had some dogs. Blake Kukar was there, and those kids, and they had a ball. I mean, they got to shoot the pistol. They walked in front and kicked up the bird. They didn't, you know, they had a ball. And they might not a single one of them might not ever have another thing to do with a dog, but they might.
Right. Yep. Well, there's a lot better chance that they will after they've done that.
Well, they say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep. Yep. Hey, we're going to put something on your schedule for this next coming year.
Yeah, I'll do it. Don't bother me. I'll probably screw it up, but you'll get over it in time.
Well, yeah, I've tried to spread that rumor that I'm the worst judge there is in the country. That's what I'm trying to get that word out there. But
you know what? It's everybody's responsibility to do their part in this sport. You know, if I can be somewhere, I still have a business to run, but if I can be somewhere to help, I will.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
well, that's
within reason. I mean, I don't want to go to California and judge a trial on you know, Easter, but
right. Yeah. Well, but you might someday. You know, I mean, you know, that's
I went to Richard Robertson. I judged the Northwest Trucker Championship. I'm probably the prettiest I've been in my life.
Yeah.
And I did screw it up because Richie won it. I knew I screwed it up. I haven't been invited back. So.
I haven't been invited back. Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah. Then you do. Then you know you're.
Bridget Leddington was runner up. Yeah. Me and Brad Harder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. That's super. Well, that's good. Those are important topics. You know, I mean, I think it's important that we come up with all these ideas, whatever we can do to get the word out there and try to get some, you know, just to keep the track, get some momentum going, right? Keep people coming in, and just keep this thing rolling along. You know,
I think what they do up at Ames with the seminars and the heroes luncheon, and I think there need to be more seminars. Or kid friendly, whatever, just to get them. It doesn't have to be a field trial. Which now they've got so many. They've done such a great job with the kid stuff that, I mean, they're going somewhere about every weekend. I mean, it's like travel baseball, you know, travel basketball, or I don't know what y'all call it up there, but Legion or whatever.
It's even better.
Yeah. Oh my God. How can kids not love? And I tell you, who's kicking butts? The girls. You know, which girls are going to. My daughter, horses and dogs. There's no way a boy could love horses and dogs more than my daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. But anything we can do. You can ask Chris Mathen, done stuff for Kevin's down here in Thomasville. You know, I'll help. You know, I just think we owe that to the sport. I think we owe that to the clients. I think we owe that to the amateurs. Like I said, without them,
Yeah.
there's no us.
No, that's exactly. Well, and I think this kind of harkens back to what you mentioned before. I think, I don't know, put the time on it, right? 50 years ago, 70 years ago, whatever it was hard then too. But the sport kind of just went along on its own. I think now, today, because our society's changed a bit, I think we do have to work harder at it to keep it going forward, because it's well, there's probably a lot of things. One is there's so many options for people to do, adults to do,
Look at us
much less
talking right
kids.
now on the live
Yep.
over the computer.
Yep.
They can be doing this with their friends sitting in their
Right.
closet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They don't have to go outside, so,
outside.
but there's the country's changed, the landscapes have changed, but this sport, I think is, has enough base and can go forward. That's why we do this, right? I mean, I do this for a number of reasons. One, because I like to talk about bird dogs, but, this is to help the sport. I mean, this is just to help get the word out, right? To help people see that these are not, some, you all age pros are not some fictional, great creatures that are out there that no one ever gets to, see and hear from, and not just the all age guys, right? We talk to shooting dog guys and grouse dog guys and
it's all
walking dog guys.
It's not, it's not one or the other. What I think the thing about our sport is that everybody in our sport doesn't mind, because no matter if you're a weekend warrior or you're a hardcore amateur or a pro, if you're doing it, it's work. I mean, you gotta load up, you gotta load feed, you gotta load dogs, you gotta work, and you gotta keep horses up. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yep.
So the people that do this aren't afraid to work. And I have yet to see anybody that said, you help at a field trial and they go, like the kids trial. I asked Chris, it's like, you having a hard time finding help? She's like, oh my God, no. Chris Mathen. I talked to Cleve Maffei. I said, y'all having a hard time finding help? He's like, no, God, no. He said, everybody's it's unbelievable, So I think that, if we can just keep doing that, and make ourselves easier available to the public. We're all, by the end of field trial season, I know I am. I can't speak for everybody else. I'm over field trial. I'm tired. I'm done. I don't want to talk about bird dogs. I don't want to hear. It's just about worth it to pay somebody to feed mine, so I don't have. And they don't want to see me neither. The dogs don't want to see me neither. Nor the horses. I can't even catch mine to feed them by the end of the year. But we got to put that aside and be easier available. Anybody that ever, I have people call me periodically and they don't really want anything. They just want to talk. And I try to. I try to take the time to do it. Sometimes I can't. But I just think we got to make ourselves more easily available to the public, and help however we can. That's the only way this thing's going to keep going. And I want it to, because this is the game of all games. This ain't golf, but for what we do, it's a great deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody that got into it that didn't go, wow, I wish I'd I'm over it. Or, there's some fly-by-nighters, but most of the time when they go to a field trial, they're having a good time unless they fall off a horse, something like that. They really enjoy it. They're like, there's a wow factor.
Right. Yep. No, that's for sure. Well, that's well said. One thing I do want to probably mention, you've mentioned the owners that have stood behind you. I see you're wearing a Pro Plan shirt. Is that what?
Yeah.
It'd be a silly question if I asked if that's what you fed.
There you go, Greg. Send me more clothes. I'm out of shirts.
There you go, Greg. That's stay on top of that. But yeah, so
Yeah,
you know,
Greg,
those are important. You know,
great guys. Couldn't do it without them. Probably could, but it costs a lot more money, and then be bankrupt, and then be out, and then couldn't feed my kids. So thank you, Greg.
yeah, you'd have to get a job at Menards or something like that. So
yeah, I'd get a job. We got a hot dog stand down here. I really like it there.
there you go. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, we're closing in on an hour, and it's been great to have you tonight. And you got any last words that you want to, any wisdom you want to impart on everybody? That's
no, not wisdom. I got some guess, but not. I do. I want everybody to keep Winnie Jean Martino in her prayers. She had an accident. Pray for Robin Gates' family. And everybody just be safe out there. You know, it's a crazy world we live in. You know, so be safe, and let's all get together and enjoy this sport. You know.
Yep.
Thank y'all.
Yep. Yeah. Well said.
Much crap said by me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you
doing this. Really do.
No problem. We, yeah, it's great to have you on. And obviously, you know, when I first was going to start doing these, you were one of the first people that I thought about talking to, because I knew you'd be willing to do it. And you've been very, very generous with your time, and you're easy to talk to, and it's fun, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I do appreciate you coming on. I know everybody's going to enjoy this video. Anybody else that has any other questions or suggestions for us here, for me in the future, feel free to reach out to me. If you got anything you need to ask Jamie, you know how to get a hold of him now. Besides that, I don't have a whole lot more. Just like Jamie said, stay safe. Say some prayers for our country. We're going through some tough times. It's a kind of a weird time out there, but I think we can make it through this with a lot of just stick-to-itiveness and moving forward. So if anybody else has anything, go ahead, keep the comments coming. We keep following these up as the days go by. So I appreciate everybody joining us. And with that, for Jamie and Bill Holton, have a great night. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Have a good night. See you.